Well, hello everyone. Again, this is Marie-Claude and Christina is with us today.
Christina.
We're here today to talk about the color blue. If you don't see it, it's everywhere. It's in our office, in our colors. And the color blue, it's royal blue. Like people have a lot of feelings towards color blue because we see it in a lot of places. It has a lot of significance in the sky, in the ocean, it's rich. It has so many rich flavors into it, and it's also about solidity and just being present. Like it's very professional color. It's also professional colors, and blue is the first one. It's cyan, the light blue would be the
That's right. We were talking earlier before the recording, so we're looking more into this tone of blue when
yeah,
we're looking at the cyan. And think about your printer, because many printers now are printing with the cyan color. So that's
it's
the
true.
color that she's
Yeah,
expressing, cyan.
cyan, and it's the one that's around for the throat chakra. And this relates to, we're talking about your voice, being your authentic self. And we're talking about also your metabolism in your body, how you rejuvenate, I guess, or how fast your metabolism goes. And we're talking about your arms also on a physical level. So we'll go on a bit deeper where the conversation goes, but I want you to introduce also your blue in the therapy of, I guess, in the house, how you would.
Yes, again, blue is used in many, many rooms in the house, and it can be, again, like any other color, working with the right tones, with the right tints, and with the right shades. But as we were saying earlier, before we were in the recording, blue is the most favorite color across the world. It is the most preferred color. It is cross-gender, so it's not that males prefer it or females prefer it. All genders prefer the color blue when we're looking at it globally across the world. And that's why when you're talking about your chakras and the blue from your throat up through to the
Because
last chakra here, oh, not on
yes,
the head is the last one, but here in your third eye. And this is where blue, when Marie-Claude says in the professional world, blue is very well attributed. What that means is that when you're branding a business and that you want to show that your business is trustworthy, credible, stable, it has longevity, blue is a trustful color. People are not threatened by blue. They are gravitate towards blue. So that's where a business such as insurance and so on, you'll see often they're branded in blue. And that's one of the reasons they're using blue.
okay. That's like you were saying. I'll continue with that also because, like we were talking, the blue is light here, but here it's the dark indigo blue, almost black. So all this level of different blues and hues are within also with this chakra. And we're talking about being introverted or zen. And for me, they're not necessarily the same in the sense that if you're zen, you can be also extroverted. You just like to also be balanced and being able to sit with yourself. Because if you want to say your truth, if you want to speak your truth, you have to be well in your heart. So it's funny because well, it's not funny, it's well made. The throat is between the heart and your head. So what you think and what you're feeling, the contradiction sometimes is going to be expressed in your throat. You might be coughing more, you might be having like moments where you have to, open up your throat to speak. You might not say at all. You might have a little voice and not be able to speak it out. So these things, you might have thyroid problems, you might have different issues with it. So sometimes noticing these things, am I really saying my truth? Am I really in my heart okay with what I'm saying or living? Because sometimes through the truth is saying no, it's saying a boundary, or it's saying yes, I need to do this. So you have to become to the point where your heart and your mind work together, they're aligned so that you can express it and bring it out
Yes.
truthfully.
And it makes sense too, because when we're looking at blue and interiors, it's a cool color. but it can also be very cold. So you don't necessarily want to put a super cold blue like in your bedroom, right? You don't want to wake up in the morning and feel very chilled. You might want to have a more muted blue and a softer blue. So in those spaces, you want to think about moving the blue away from being too cold. Or
Yeah.
let's say you have a space that is already hot and it's shaken and you want to do those complementary colors. Blue is great from that. It's going to cool down the space. And that's why I don't know when you're traveling, if you've noticed, like when you're going down to those hot countries, what are we seeing? Tons of this vivid blue. Their
Mm.
waters deep in and against those warm yellows and those oranges and those bright reds, because blue works wonderful when it's doing a contrast. Behind me, we're using the gold metallic, so it is
Yeah.
a yellow blue, but it goes just as nicely with the silvers and the light metals. So it's very versatile, as well as being something that if you want to create a cold space like an office environment, meaning you don't want it to be cold that the people are going in and they're feeling unwelcome, but you're creating a peaceful environment and you're creating a productive environment, because just like the blue light, when we talk about not having it at night before for our circadian rhythms and for our sleep cycles, well, we do want it in the office. We want a blue light. We want to have blue around us because it can be also invigorating. So in the way where you're saying it's this um, connection between the mind and the heart, and
Mhm.
you're having that movement between those areas, our biological systems react to that as well within the environment around us with the color blue.
Yes, definitely. And like even here in my office, it's all blue, like my four walls. So, but nobody ever said, "Oh, it looks cold," because I took a shade, or I guess you say a tone that is welcoming, and same as my
Exactly.
room.
And it's, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And it's muted, right? So it's very peaceful. Like that's what I mean. Like when I'm thinking about a bedroom, I would want to move it into that soft kind of muted uh, tone so that it's soothing and restful and welcoming. And it's not cold at all, right? So
No,
it really has that versatility. So it's on the cool side of the color wheel, but in the same way we talked in previous, we can really play with that. So blue being very versatile and the most light color, I do often welcome that into people's home and into their design.
yeah, and it has the capacity to be. I mean, you have to express yourself in all aspects of your life. So you see it in so many aspects of your life, because if you don't speak out in your relationships, in your work, with your activities that you're doing, with your health or whatever, like all aspects of your life, you need to speak out anyway for yourself. So blue has this importance, or that versatile, like you were saying, it's you can have it everywhere, and you do need it a bit everywhere. So
So what
it's
would you like in a Reiki practice for someone? It's
mhm.
not a practice, right, Maria? I always call it a practice, but it isn't a practice, right? I mean, Reiki is a little bit more spiritual than that. So I wouldn't say a practice, but a mindset, maybe a
A
mindset to be
mindset,
able
yeah,
to
that
bring
would
an
work.
awareness in how they might use a blue to bring some equilibrium, some balance, and allow that reflective part of themselves come out. Like what's something that they might be able to do by using blue?
Well, it can help, using colors like you were doing with your color therapy. Lights can always
Oh,
be
we
something.
were talking before recording. This is like a chromotherapy light. So I use this in
Yeah.
my office, and depending on where I am in the space, I may change the color of the light bulb
So,
to reflect.
well, chromotherapy affects also the body and your mind, and the hormones that are being emitted in your brain. So using, blue glasses, if you don't have like chromotherapy necessarily in a house, that's another way of using it. Or having like a blue scarf around your throat, if you're going to be, if you know you have to speak out somewhere and that you're scared, it's something that you might help you enhance that energy.
Ah,
without
that's a
necessarily,
wonderful tip.
yeah, without necessarily putting your hands on your heart. You can do that first before going, but having that blue scarf, you're sort of enhancing that area with that energy. So then it's easier to talk. But don't like, and you do, like I say, take awareness of what you're feeling and what you're thinking. Are they aligned, or is your heart saying something, go to the left, and your mind is saying go to the right? Like this, that's when you feel disconnected and you feel pulled from one end to another. And you have to realize, okay, well, if I'm going to be doing this, and you have to talk to your heart and your mind and get them aligned as much as possible. That's probably the best way to do it, I guess. But having those colors will probably enhance your capacity to be able to talk it more, to express your feelings, to express what's inside of you that needs to come up.
Oh, that's lovely. So that's a really good way to help somebody. Like I could see someone like myself too. Like it's not always easy to talk in public or express yourself. And that's why we're doing these videos a bit recorded, right? That's a bit of our exercise. People want to see more and more video. And so we're providing video, but it's not always easy for individuals to be out there to provide all that content, right? Especially
Yeah.
if there's an individual who is somewhat more rigid and more of an introvert, even though they're not antisocial, but they're an introvert. They like to be with themselves. They're fine with themselves and they are comfortable with that. But then putting themselves out and their voice out there in the world isn't always innately just a confidence factor, but it could be innately a person's personality and their character in this world, right?
Yeah.
So using that scarf technique, I know I can probably use that down the road. Absolutely. So I do know that in the spaces, I mean, we often think of blue just on the walls, but I really want people to think about it in different areas. When I'm doing design, I often might do the walls neutral, and then I do prefer that art leads the room. But why not go for that velour sofa in blue in the
Oh,
living room?
yes. Oh, yeah.
Can you soak into that big navy sofa? Exactly, right? Like that's a cocoon right there. That's very peaceful. It's going to always call to you and speak to you. So when you're working with colors in a room, and if you're introducing blue, then I want you to think about patterns as well. So if you're going to be bringing in blue, I want you to at least bring it in 3 spaces that speak to each other so that the blue has a connection and it's speaking to the other blue in the room and it's saying, hi, I belong. And why do I belong? Because you're there with me. And then that creates a holistic space by repeating those patterns. Like you don't want too much and you don't want too little. So a nice way to think about it is our 3 elements, and they do not have to be identical blue. What they have to do is they have to have some tonality that speaks to each other to harmonize it in the different spaces. So you might do a beautiful sofa, and then you might do a nice planter that picks up that blue. And then you can have on a corner of an eye, a beautiful art piece that picks up on it. And then there you've got these elements speaking to each other, and the other parts of the space can be a little bit more neutral.
Oh, yeah, nice. So then your eye sees that blue a bit everywhere, but not too much. And one is lighter, one is darker, and you can have like a different. You have the feel also of profondeur, like depth, and
Exactly. It adds a little bit more layer in your space, and it allows your eye to travel, which creates also that restorative, right? So it's resting between in the neutral. The eye is being drawn to something, a visual interest that makes you have joy. And to me, that's what is important to create. I mean, I'm always in renos, so I always have those spaces after I do renos. But that's why I believe renos are so important, because when you get to the other side of a renovation, and you're seeing your space the way you envisioned it, then wow, like that's a moment, right?
yeah. Those are great. Those are great tips, actually. I just want to say that maybe to finish on that, my part, like the blue also, when we're talking about your throat, is often linked not just with the head and your heart, but with your creativity, your being well in your space, in your body, feeling safe and secure. So we're talking about the colors, reds and orange and yellows that we did the first three chakras. So it's always in relationship. You don't always take one part of yourself and then just see how it is, and just analyze it alone. You
Yeah,
have
you
to
don't just work on that part,
you
right?
just
And you
don't
leave
want
all
to,
the others.
we're working in the whole body, so you have to see how you are in all those different elements of your life. So are you blocking your creativity? Is that stopping you from talking? Or is it you don't feel secure because maybe you had a hard time? So talking is more difficult because you were scared before. Like, it's always in relationship to the other ones, and it's always, and things change also. It's always in the context of movement, because nobody's static and not moving and just focusing on one thing. Then you just focus on that own problem, and you can't really come out of it and then be, and see that, oh, I have parts that are good. You focus only on the
Exactly,
bad.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all that connectivity, right? And we're always looking for more of that balance and that harmony. And I just have to say to people, like, that adjusts, right? That
Yeah.
adjusts as you grow as a human, as a person, as an individual. Even your color palette and your preferences in your interior spaces, your exterior spaces, that will change as well. And I just think that it's important for people to understand and move from the rigidity, and to say to themselves, you know what, that was good for me in the moment. I loved it then. There's nothing wrong that I don't love it now, and I need to
Yeah.
change, because that's growth,
It
right?
is. And when you see a sky, in the morning, sky won't be the same color blue as at the end of the day. So there's movement and pattern. Like everything else, we're in movement and change, and being okay with that and growing with it. So
Yeah, which is great, because like in the month of April, we have Easter coming up, and with Easter are new beginnings,
things.
and whatever holiday or religious holiday that you take, I always see this moon cycle of this time to be one of change and new beginnings. So it's a
Yeah.
perfect time to refresh, repaint,
Things.
and align your chakras. So remember, we have Marie-Claude, and she's available to do some sessions. So I think if you go to her website, you'll be able to see what she has to offer and contact her. As you can see, she's very easy to get along with, and a great resource to help you move along in your life. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And Christina.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye.